Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're doing a quick information update tonight. Welcome, everyone. It's the 16th of January, about 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, and we're coming on to give a quick update on what's going on with General Berger. Anyone who's been listening to my open source information updates is well aware that we follow General Berger in every thing that he does. So the first thing I want to report is this, because a lot of people are aware of the fact that he was reported missing, and he has been rescued and he is okay. So let's just start there. What I want to do is kind of rewind to where the story starts for those who aren't familiar with the story. What we do know is that there was a change in the command for General Berger, and General Smith took over for him, and he was serving in an advisory capacity when we last spoke. So everyone was happy about that. General Berger left Guantanamo Bay and went back to Camp Pendleton in California. So officially on the 1st of January, General Smith went into action. Then on January 6th, while all the action was taking place in the House of Representatives and the public's attention was all diverted over here, what was going on is General Berger left Camp Pendleton on the 6th, January 6th, about 6:30 p.m. in his personal vehicle and wasn't seen thereafter. It then took days for it to get reported, and we're only getting this news courtesy of Michael Baxter, who is the only authorized media person getting reports in this regard. So we want to thank Michael Baxter for this information, and Dobie Tejas for reporting on it, and Mortal Man Productions for producing the video that Toby reports on. So first and foremost, that's the source of the story. We do understand now the report came out on the 13th to the public that General Berger was actually missing. We know that the Marines have been looking for him for days and tracking down leads. We can confirm that they did do a search of the general area and the towns and locations around Camp Pendleton. There was no news during that time. What we do know is that the Army Cyber Command, along with the Marine Corps Cyber Command, were monitoring chatter for any information during this time. They were able to glean some information from that, it is my understanding. And based upon that, they did confirm a location where they sent in recon teams, and eventually and ultimately discovered that there were 4 3-letter agencies starting with the C, and that's all I'll say because I know I'll get a strike for that. But the 3-letter agencies starting with the C had 4 agents there. Unfortunately, those 4 agents did not make it, but they did rescue General Berger, and he was a little banged up, and he is recovering, and they are asking for prayers for General Berger and his family. So for all of us that have been on pins and needles for the last few days since we learned of General Berger being missing, we do thank the Lord for him, for his service to this country, and we pray for him and his family, and we'll continue to follow this story. I do want to add a side note that in our quest to confirm the stories before we got this late breaking news this evening that he was actually located, we did reach out to Camp Pendleton, their media engagement department, their media duty department, their digital and media engagement department, the operations chief, the deputy director, the director of communications, community relations, and even attempted to contact the commanding general uh, out at Camp Pendleton, along with NCIS. None of those departments even answered their telephone. We were able to make personal contact. I was personally with the MPs for people that are in the military. That is the military police for non-emergency, and they did advise me that they could not confirm any of the information that I was trying to get validated. And at that time, the question was General Berger missing from Camp Pendleton, or was he not? Could they confirm that story? So they could not confirm anything in that regard, the military police who we were actually physically able to talk to. So that's a story in the update on General Berger, and that's pretty significant. Because again, we have to start piecing together the big picture, which is what we're trying to do from a military standpoint. Whether and we do have reports on the retired generals, whether they're active duty generals that are acting in a capacity. Um, Active duty wise right now, we're not only following the good ones, but we're also following what the public is entitled to follow, which we follow very closely, which are press releases straight out of the Department of Defense. And we're going to get into one of those current press releases this evening as I give the report on Ukraine. So we have all of these things happening, a lot building up. Again, we only come on with updates when we have a significant amount of information to report, and we do have that this evening, starting with the rescue of General Berger. And we thank General Berger. Sir, we thank you for your service. And we know you're not finished in this fight, but we wish you a speedy recovery. And by the grace of God, the righteous people were able to get to you when you needed them, as opposed to you always being available to the public. So shout out to the United States Marine Corps and all of the people involved in his rescue for that. These are the people that are my idols. These are my celebrities. These are people that should be celebrities in all of our mind when we think of a redefinition of who we think is a hero and who we honor. These are the type of people that we need to look to in that respect. So that's it for that. And normally we move into that. I'm kind of doing this upside down tonight, where we're going to report on some of these items that have been going on in the background. And then we'll get to our retired generals. We do also have information. Again, we're covering Michael Baxter's reporting from the military, that we're hearing the what's coming out in the mainstream media about the classified documents from Potato Head being found in various locations. What is being reported is we not only have those locations they're talking about now, but what they're not talking about is another location owned by Potato Head, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, down at the beach. So everyone keep your ears open for what comes out and what was found down in their beach house, because that's where the real story is at. And until we're able to confirm more of the details, that's all I will say in that regard. But pay attention and listen to what's happening and what was found on the beach house. The reason why we know and we can confirm that is because they actually did serve a search warrant in on that location as well. And we know that several electronics were seized, laptops, documents, and so forth, and maybe even manuscripts of certain people that were in the process of writing books Miss Potato Head. We'll see. Again, all of this is alleged. It's being reported, and we feel it's good enough to put out there in the open source. Another story that we were following is one with a gentleman named Brian Deese. He's a director of the National Economic Council. We understand that he was taken into custody. He was taken into custody at his Massachusetts home, and evidently he participated in and oversaw a government scheme to bankrupt poultry farmers and artificially inflate the price of household staples such as eggs and chicken. We're all seeing the what's happening with the egg prices. Well, this story ties to just that. This gentleman was at the helm in this. He was part of working with, and we know that this is actually the second arrest in this regard. He was working in conjunction with other people. We had already reported on the other person that was took into custody related to this, the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. He was also involved. These people are involved in the destruction of several food distribution warehouses. So it's important to put these dots together to know that these people in these different agencies are working in tandem. But we understand that an official from the Department of Agriculture visited many poultry farms for routine inspections. And this guy who was arrested last April, this Tom Bislak, he said and assured people that there would be no bird flu found. We're hearing a lot about this bird flu, people. Again, we have to be careful with all of this fear porn being pushed out there. They're actually part of operations and agendas that were underway. But this gentleman came right out and said in a conversation, and again, there's a digital footprint to these communications, that there would be no bird flu found, but Mr. Brian Deese assured him that they would find bird flu so that they could purposefully shut down these poultry farms. And that's where we're seeing the escalation in eggs. Poultry up by 25% and eggs being up 49% now, all across the country. This was designed, this was a plan. I encourage people to go and research this and know that this is part of what's being done to the American people. We're just out here in the open source trying to wake people up to the facts. The other story that we had going on was that the Deputy Director of Defense for the Health Agency is a person who directs joint shared services to about 9.6 civil service members, retirees, and their family. And this guy is under investigation for feeding all of them false information regarding the big pandemic and everything associated with it that is now coming out in the forefront and in the open. So we're keeping our eye on that story. But this gentleman, the director of the Defense Health Agency, his name is Malinowski. His job was actually to encourage officers and enlisted men to abide by Secretary Austin's mandate for the jab or be subject to the consequences. And he was actually out there pushing to service members that and scaring them and letting them know that if they didn't comply by this, that they could be dishonorably discharged. and particularly if their children uh, weren't compliant in getting it. So this is a huge story. This is all starting to come out. We all know that these people were culpable of this. We all seen a lot of the officers that did not comply in all of the court cases that General Vallely, Colonel Sellen, and uh, uh, General McInerney helped get into the Supreme Court to try and stop this from happening, because they're destroying our military from within. And these generals come right out. They're saying that, and they have been for months. And we're going to get to them in a couple of minutes here. I want to make sure we keep this on the hour, because we are doing a pre-record tonight, and we have to limit it to the hour. So if we miss any information, I will get back on day after tomorrow and kind of pick up the reporting and what the status quo is at that point. But again, these are all stories out in the open source that aren't being reported on by the mainstream media. And this is important information for the public to be aware of. Now, the last thing that he talks about here is a lot of people are disappointed over the outcome of the Brunson case. And again, we need to take out our second scope and look to it and look exactly what that case really means on the whole, and how it was pivotal, that the timing, and again, I think I last reported the timing of the case coupled with January 6th and what was happening in the House of Representatives is not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. We have to really get in, and people need to really do their research on what these cases mean. What that meant was the Brunson case being held over the head of the House of Representatives. It was a fail-safe card in case things didn't go right in the House of Representatives and things weren't ultimately worked out in that regard. So when you look at it from that scope, it makes perfect sense. People also have to maybe have an open mind, and just consider the fact that in these covert military operations, did the military, once things got worked out in the House of Representatives, actually uh, uh, and they're the ones who are in charge, had maybe played some type of role in that case not being brought forth at this time, so that it could continue to be used as protection for everything that's happening below it. It just might be. So I encourage people to consider those theories and to really tune in to the processes and where we're at in this place and time on the battlefield, and what is happening in the very big picture and the big maneuvering that's being done in that respect. So what we do know is that it's far from over for the Brunson case. And again, I look forward to hearing from one of the Brunsons themselves. I know LW is trying to get them on his show. So I'll look forward to that. But they have 5 appeals. Everyone knows that by now. It's far from over. Anybody can submit amicus briefs now. The court received this case just as a reminder of a matter of a national emergency. But the most important thing of all to keep in mind about this Brunson case is that this case will set precedents. Okay, any case decided by the Supreme Court sets a precedents for any cases that might follow thereafter in this regard. So when a case sets a precedence, it's important that all the I's are dots and all the T's are crossed. And there might have been, this allows another positive, allows this case maybe to come back in the appeal with maybe some modifications that might help it in its standing to the Supreme Court as it moves forward, and hopefully the outcome will be as we all want, and it'll then set a precedence from here on out. So that's what we know about the Brunson case and what's going on with that. Now, let's get to the retired generals, and then, because it's kind of lengthy, and then I'll leave it at that until our next report later on in this week. But and they've had two briefings, and again, shout out to Mr. John B. Wells. He's the one that all of is the trusted source that is disseminating all this information to the public. He is the one responsible for bringing it to a syndicated audience to people around the world. So we want to give a shout out to him. And that's how this information makes it into the open source. Let's head up with General McInerney first. A couple of weeks ago, he, of course, is still continuing to put it out there about China and Mexico's proxy war and the 200,000 people so far that have died from fentanyl that they're allowing to come across the border. He said that they're going to continue their efforts to try and say that anybody that's an e-denier, and we know what that is, we're talking about the big contest that's still in question, that they are still going to push the narrative that this is hogwash, but that's not the case. And the only one who's contesting this, we all know, is Kari Lake down in Arizona. One reason that I heard on the backside why some of these other states didn't contest the election is because the actual Republican candidate that rightfully won actually won the seat. So, that's an interesting concept and variable to consider when you're looking at that particular situation with Kari Lake down in Arizona. And we know that Maricopa County was one of the counties that General McInerney saying participated in the Hammer and Scorecard. And people really need to get in. He's been talking about this for the last 2 years, Hammer and Scorecard. If you don't know what Hammer and Scorecard is right now, you need to Google it, look it up, and study what it is, because these are how these people are able to pull off the fraud, the FRAUD, I almost said the word, in some of these contests that are happening all across the country. So, that's a listening program. They're able to listen in on presidents. They're able to listen in on Congress members. They're able to listen in on preachers and anybody else that they want to blackmail. This is the program that they do it with through their electronics. So he wants everybody to keep an eye on that. And of course, he goes on to say the omnibus bill, the CRT in the military and the schools, the Obama giving up our energy independence. All of this is designed to bring down the U.S. And again, we've repeated this over and over. He's been saying it over and over, to take us in the United States out of that superpower status and to keep us from maintaining that recognition around the world. Like he says, this isn't sensationalism. This is happening. This is real life. And he also said, shame on senior leadership in the military, particularly the 4-star leadership that's allowing this CRT and the mandates to continue in the military. And we have a story of a gal who's fighting just that now. These mandates, when it's already been struck down, they're still pushing them inside of the military, and it must stop. General McInerney don't speak too often, and he's a man of few words. And when he speaks, it would be in everybody's best interest to take note of exactly what he's saying. Now, let's move on to General Vallely, who works in tandem with him. And again, he has a wealth of information, General Vallely, at standupamericaus.org. there's a big war going on down at the border right now between the cartels and the Mexican um, military. And it's bad. I challenge anybody to go look up some of that footage of what's actually taking place down there. But a lot of it has taken place because of the arrest of El Chapo's son. And it's an all out war down there. And according to General Vallely, and we all know, we've reported on several times, they keep saying it, we're going to keep saying it. They've put forth a plan to President T quite some time ago to resolve the situation down at the border. They said they had a plan to do it. They could execute it within 7 days. And so that's his main focus. He's coming right out and saying that the plan that they submitted in 2017 has now been accepted. Now, this is important to note. It has now been accepted by President T, not Potato Head. President T. He is confirming that. He's saying that the double C with the P behind it, and the cartels are fighting the Mexican army down there. It's bad. Their plan calls for Delta Force Rangers, etc., to take down the cartels in 7 days. They need all retired generals and admirals to handle the mission because the current ones are not capable. And the first thing that they want to do is seal off the geographical area so that nothing moves, or anything that moves within 20 kilometers is taken out. So, they have a very aggressive plan to go out there. They can track their movements, and quote unquote, they can take out their center of gravity, meaning their ammo supplies, and so forth. And he also said that a lot of Patriot Guards are going to need to aid sheriffs in the forthcoming times when states start to take back themselves. So he also wanted everyone to look at Raytheon and General Dynamics. He says these are the two companies that are making all the money to replace all the inventory that we've given to Ukraine in the form of weapons, helicopters, and everything else. And a lot of these things that have been sent over there at the cost of the American people are now being sold on the black market. So there you have it. Americans should be getting up and insisting no more money to go to Ukraine. None. Enough is enough. It's absolutely crazy at this point. And I've got somebody working on adding up all of the monies. They don't even know where all of these monies are going to, and it's more money than this country even has. Well, they're dismantling our country day by day by day, attacking our food supplies, and we're going to get to what Mary Fanning says about that. We're sending them billions of dollars that they're putting in their pocket, and they can't even account for. So this is shameful. It's just shameful. Let's see. We have what else do we have here? We have Ivan Ranklin coming out and speaking out and saying that Pence provided the top cover for all of the people, to include McCarthy, the Sergeant of Arms, and everybody else that was involved over on the J6 day. that are complicit in everything that went on over there. So, there's a lot of ethic violations and complaints and criminal charges against all the people involved. And people need to know that. And I, again, implore who's ever in charge of this operation to start releasing small things to the American public at this point. There's too much in the open source. If Liberty Cowgirl can go out and get all of this information, along with so many others who are covering these same topics, there's no reason why we can't hear some of this coming out of the Pentagon and the Department of Defense and the press releases that I get from them every day. And again, we're going to correlate those coming up when we talk about the update of what's going on in Ukraine. But, again, reminding us that the Freedom Caucus got 100% when it came to the House. 3 members get to now be on the Rules Committee, and they can make a motion at any time to vacate the chair if McCarthy deters from anything that they're not happy with. So we're going to get into some of these. Again, we're going to be discussing some of these in the Liberty Lounge and on an upcoming episode of the new Cowgirl Roundtable. We'll be drilling into some of these in more specifics. I'm just giving you a quick update here, trying to stay within our hour. But there's going to be a lot coming out about Mr. Ray Epps and Piglosi and the rest when it comes to J6. Now, let's see. We also had, and I look forward to looking up some more of his information. But Mr. Jovan Pulitzer, who's out there, he's on Rumble. I encourage everybody to go and listen to him. He is been following and offers up a lot of information on the psychological mind game that's being played on the American people right now. And I encourage a lot of people, in order to see through some of these things and to see the bigger picture, you have to understand what's been going on and how these this disinformation and this information warfare campaign is being deployed on us. Because otherwise you won't know what to believe, because we know we can't believe the mainstream media, Reuters, Associated Press, or anybody else out there that claims that they're critical. This is up to the American people. Look to alternative media, vet the alternative media people that are giving you this information, and find out if they're vetting it or not. I know we spend days tracking down stories and trying to verify things. So discernment. Again, he had Mary Fanning on from the AmericanReport.com, and I encourage everybody to go over to the AmericanReport.com. This woman is a highly intelligent and educated lady that's been covering all of the issues that are facing us right now from a very high level. But, she's reminding us that, with regard to the big challenge with the big the big contest, we can't say the words, we're being censored. There's chain of custodies issues. The memory cards were written over in Cobb County. We all know the drill. We all know everything that went wrong. I don't need to go down the list, but it was Ronna McDaniels, ahead of the Republican Party. It was her job to find out, and she didn't. Now, why didn't she? Maybe it has something to do with the fact that she's a niece of a rhino, i.e. Mitt Romney, or one of those guys. I'm sure it was Romney. But also Radcliffe withheld information about foreign threats and interference, text messages from Ray Epps, all of that. And they also knew about by the way, Cuban spies that were employed by the DIA and the three-letter agency that starts with an F. Again, Mitch McConnell's wife, and so on and so forth. The destruction of the food manufacturing supplies around the world, and the fact that the fertilizer has all been destroyed, which they're all saying is going to create a famine. Not this year. We all see it all on this year, but come 1 year down the line, 12 to 24 months, it's going to be a whole different situation. So anybody not tuning in and watching how to start a garden of your own should look into that. We don't know what the future holds. It doesn't hurt to have something small just for you and your family going, because everything is so uncertain, and we have facts that the supply chains are slowing down. They've been cut off. We even heard what Amazon now, the big news this week, they're laying off, or they have already laid off, I think, 90,000 workers, and more got the pink slip coming. So, this is reality, America. This stuff, you can't make this stuff up. This stuff is happening in a very fast and rapid pace at this juncture. Um, what else do I have for everyone today? Okay, the most important thing of all coming on. And by the way, JBW, John B. Wells, also has a Dr. John Waterman on, and he's saying it's time to get very serious. We've all heard, and it's being reported even in the mainstream, about possible pandemic outbreak over in China right now, and how when this outbreak, they locked them down so that the sickness would spread, and they lift all of it now, letting everybody out now that everybody has it and is carrying it, and you have people traveling all over the world. So the big question here is, why aren't the borders closed? Why are flights from China coming in? This is a big question, and the airports themselves, quite frankly, and I was in the airport business for many years, the airports themselves need to take a stand. Okay, they need to take a stand. If our federal government is not going to shut down these airports, and it's going to impact our private business, because we're running airline flights, this is too much of a liability. We're gonna not take flights coming in from China. So, this is getting serious, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got a lot of very credentialed people, very highly credentialed people, sounding the bells out in the American public, saying, get the word out, get the message out. People have to know what we're facing. We're at a very critical point right here. I know it's, and I'm all for hearing and on a different level. And this is why we have the Liberty Lounge, where we can focus on positive things and what people are actually doing to take this country back. But we also are reporting on the stories that are happening during this time on the battlefield, and trying to get people help and let their voices be heard. And who knows, they might be from your area, and you might be able to reach out and help them in that regard. But we have two gentlemen. We need to focus on General Milley and what's going on with Milley. And again, too much information right now. We're overwhelmed with information that I've decided to do a end of the week open source information roundup. But we've got a lot of information coming out. We've got a lot of military and ex-military people speaking out against Milley right now. Why is Milley allowed to continue to operate? That's a question. And these are things that we, the American people, need to start shouting out, reporting out, get this information out on as many channels as we can, because make no mistake about it, this is unrestricted warfare, and people are aware of that at this point. And I want to leave everybody with this, and we'll be talking about this. I'll be a guest along with Power Girl Productions, and we'll be discussing with LW on LWN. I encourage everybody to tune in. I'll let you know the date. But we all need to be looking at the most important thing of all right now, and that's the Declaration of North America, DNA. Declaration of North America. Let's leave that as homework for everybody. They're trying to push this through, which is going to take away a lot of our rights and just seal the package uh, uh, for a lot of these nefarious things that they're trying to deploy on the American public. And they're doing this under the guise of this huge Declaration of North America. Okay, this is going to bring things to a whole nother level for people, not only in the United States, but around the world. So, we need to insist. Everyone needs to report on this. Everybody report on the DNA, Declaration of North America. It needs to be put forth as a treaty, not a declaration. There's a big difference, and we're going to cover some of this in the next few days. So I want to just leave everybody with that information, have everybody, get on their computers and start looking at the Declaration of North America and what that might mean for everybody here if we don't put a stop to it and demand that it be put forth in the Senate and the Congress as a treaty and not a declaration. So with that, again, we want to send out prayers to everyone who needs prayers, all the warriors on the battlefield, those known and unknown, General Berger, to him and his family and his recovery, and all the other military, retired, and active duty personnel that are out there fighting for our freedoms right now. We might not be able to see it in the physical sense in front of us, but I can assure you that operations are taking place from around the world that we know. There's too much out in the open source to tell us otherwise, and we want to just lift all these people up in prayer. So until the next time, everyone, make sure to follow us at the Liberty Cowgirl Network on YouTube, at Liberty Cowgirl on Getter. You can see the shows there. And we're still working on the Rumble to get the shows pushed over to Rumble and to get the Rumble broadcasting live. So hopefully I can get all those kinks worked out here in the near future so that we can reach more people in that respect. Follow me on Twitter at Liberty Cowgirl and at Liberty Cowgirl on True Social. And make sure you tune in this Wednesday. We've got some real special guests joining us in the Liberty Lounge, and we're looking forward to having Patriots with Grit out of Missouri, along with Brock Maddox and Power Girl Productions, and maybe some other people will surprise us. So tune into that. We'll see you later, everybody. Remember, never give up, never give in, and never back down. And in the words of one of the greatest warriors that I know, if you're not out there doing something for your country, then what are you doing? See you next time.